Let's take a closer look at what's going on in campaign 2016 now. Here's Washington Post political columnist Philip Bump. Philip, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
There was a significant economic speech by Donald Trump this week, but nobody's really talking about it because of what's happened here. What do you see as the potential strategy behind what Trump said regarding the president's birth at this point? I mean, he finally said he was born in the U.S., but then drops the Hillary bomb on it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it seems that the most likely explanation, and it's somewhat baffling, so this is the most likely explanation, is that they knew this was going to come up in the debate. The debate's, the Monday of the week following next. They knew that he was going to be pressed on this issue because it's this outstanding question. I think they were just trying to have him say, yes, he was born in the United States and be done with it. The problem, of course, is the way that he did it. Part of the challenge is that African-American voters think this is a cause for concern. And he didn't say why he did it. He didn't apologize for having done it that way. And so I'm not sure it's going to have any real political benefit for him.
Are we being distracted from the real issues? We heard Errol bring up that topic. In addition to that speech, a significant investigation is underway. Are we being distracted by it all?
I mean, I think to some extent, yes. I mean, but part of the challenge is that there's so much about Donald Trump which makes him an unusual and fairly odd candidate for the presidency, right? There are all these past things that we have to sort of parse through, all of his old business records, the whole thing with his foundation. There are all these things which make it hard to focus on what we should be paying attention to as a presidential candidate, but also he hasn't spent a lot of time putting out policy positions. He hasn't spent a lot of time, articulating what it is he would do. And he has, in fact, in August of 2015, he said explicitly, I don't think people really care about these policy positions that I put out there. I think the press does. I think there's some element of truth to that. But it does make it hard for us to evaluate what he would be like as a president.
We're now less than 9 weeks away from Election Day. The polls have been tightening, although they typically tighten around this point, don't they?
That's correct. Yes. If you look back at 2004, 8, and 12, they all tightened at about the same point, yes.
So where do the candidates stand then with what's happened, particularly in the last week, do you think?
Well, it's been a somewhat remarkable turnaround since about a month ago. Hillary Clinton was enjoying the post-convention bounce. Since then, some undecided voters have started to move toward Donald Trump, and Hillary Clinton's support has started to wane a little bit. One of the things to keep in mind, too, with the polls is that pollsters have switched from from registered voters, which is a bigger pool of people, to likely voters, which tends to favor Republicans, which is another reason we're seeing some of this narrowing. But, we're in a place right now where it truly is anyone's game. A month ago, it looked like Hillary Clinton had this locked up, and that's no longer the case. But these things change rapidly.
Let's talk specifically about Florida and Ohio, then. Sure. Those are obviously battleground states. What's happening right there?
So Florida and Ohio, Donald Trump has moved into a small lead in both of those states. We tend to see that state polls mirror what's happening nationally. So nationally, we do a lot more polling nationally because it gives us a broader picture. The national race is tightened, so races that were already close in Ohio and Florida have moved towards Donald Trump. That's not enough by itself for him to win. If I looked at this earlier this week, the 10 states that are closest right now, Hillary Clinton only needs to win 14 electoral votes in those states. Donald Trump needs to win over 100 of them. But if the race continues moving toward Donald Trump, that becomes a much easier task.
Fascinating to see how it does turn, just up and down, up and down.
And I think it's a little unusual. Yes, it does get close. It has gotten close in the past. This race seems to be moving a lot.
All right. Washington Post columnist Philip Bump, thank you as always. Tomorrow morning on Face the Nation here on CBS, John Dickerson's guests will include Trump campaign manager Kellyanne Conway and Congressman John Lewis, Democrat of Georgia.